Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about a question that I think probably everyone who's ever trained jiu-jitsu has wondered. And that question is, how do you actually get better at jiu-jitsu? I think this is definitely a question for all of my beginners out there, and honestly, it's still a question that I think about today. How the heck do I still freaking get better at this thing? So let's chat about it. I will start by saying this: there is no magic answer to this question. Everybody's jiu-jitsu journey is so different. Everybody has such different goals, so the answer to this question can be so different for everyone. With that being said, I do want to give you some practical tips today that you can take away and implement into your jiu-jitsu journey to keep getting better. Now, before we even get into answering this question, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to sit down and I want you to think about and write down, what does it mean for you personally to get better at jiu-jitsu? Like I said, everybody's journey is so different. Everybody has such different goals. The goals of a 110-pound white belt female are going to be very different than a 230-pound brown belt male. The goals of a fresh 21-year-old who just signed up for jiu-jitsu are going to be very different than a 55-year-old who's been training for 10 years. So I've got two practical tips for my beginners, and then I've got two practical tips for those of you who are a little bit more advanced. Tip number one for my very beginners in jiu-jitsu on here, and you're probably gonna be like, Kim, I know this, I didn't watch this video to hear this answer, like I thought you were gonna give me something better, but I can't talk about this topic and not say this, so I'm just gonna say it. Tip number one is you have to show up. It's so simple, it's almost dumb to say, but you have to show up. You cannot get better at jiu-jitsu if you're not there. Unless jiu-jitsu is your job, unless you train full-time, which I can almost guarantee that my viewers on this channel, this does not apply to you. It can be very easy for life to kind of take us and pull us in all different directions. So it can be very easy to simply not train jiu-jitsu when life gets in the way. So in order to keep showing up, we have to make a schedule and we have to stick to it by any means necessary. And now look, I'm not saying that things don't happen and that you can't miss a class that you've scheduled for yourself. If your car breaks down, if you get stuck in a meeting at work, if you have to pick up your kids last minute, like these things happen, I get it. But if those things don't happen, you need to make it to class. If you want to make it to 6 days a week, which is the bare minimum that I would suggest that you make it to. Currently editing this video and I have no idea why I said a bare minimum of 6 days a week. Definitely not 6. I meant to say bare minimum of 3 days a week. 3 days, try to make it there, not 6 for a minimum. Put it in your calendar and get yourself into class. No one's gonna force you to go. This is where the dedication comes in. This is where the discipline comes in. Even on the days when you're not motivated, getting there sometimes is honestly the hardest part, but you just gotta do it. You have to show up. Tip number two for my very beginners on how to get better at jiu-jitsu is focus on surviving. That is what white belt is meant to be about. Your first few months at white belt is not meant to be about getting super technical and actually understanding what's going on. It's about survival. There's just so many things going on, right? There's so many new techniques, there's so many new movements, your body is not used to any of it, and it can feel very overwhelming to try to remember everything that you're learning. And that's totally normal. Now, obviously you want to try to remember the movements that you're learning, and I'm not saying that you don't want to remember anything. When you're rolling, if you can't get the sweep that you've been working on in class, if you can't get a submission, if you're getting submitted left and right, don't get frustrated with yourself. That is totally normal. Instead, take a step back and focus on surviving. So what could that look like? Maybe right in the beginning, it means getting submitted 3 times in a roll and not 5. Maybe it means simply defending, staying in a turtle position if you get there, staying in that defensive position and not letting someone take your back from there and then working towards a choke. It could mean if someone mounts you, simply just protecting your neck and not getting submitted when someone's in mount. If you're even a little bit more advanced than that, maybe it means just working on getting out of mount, doing the bump and roll, doing the elbow escape. So, there's definitely levels to it, and it's different for everyone in whatever step of their journey that they're in. But if you're in that stage where you are such a beginner and surviving is the only thing that you feel like you can do, that's great. If you can make it through a whole round, if you just started jiu-jitsu a month or two ago and you can make it through a round with not getting submitted, that is really, really good. If you can make it through a round with only getting submitted once, that's really good. If you can make it through a round with just defending yourself and, like I said, surviving the round, that is a win. Heck, when I first started, jiu-jitsu was so tough for me that just making it through class was a win. Just getting through the rolls, no matter how many times I got submitted, no matter how much I couldn't defend myself, getting through those 5 or 6 minute rounds, just actually making it through the time, that was a win for me. And if that's a win for you too, that is 100% normal. That is totally fine. And that's freaking great. You're there, you're training, and one day it will get better. Now for you guys who are a little bit more advanced, what are 2 practical tips to actually get better at jiu-jitsu? Tip number 1, try out the move of the day. My coach tells us this all the time. You have to try out the move that your coach is teaching you. Sometimes we get so stuck in what we like to do and we end up just doing the same things over and over again, and that can hinder our progress. So a surefire way to push past that is to try out the moves that your coach is teaching you. Even if in the beginning you feel like, oh, this move isn't for me, I don't want to do this, give it a shot. You might actually be able to implement it into your game, and you won't know if you don't try. We learned so many moves in jiu-jitsu. It is so common to learn one move one day and the next day you've completely forgotten it, right? So we have to try out these moves when they're the freshest in our minds, and they're the freshest in our minds the day that we learn them. Even if you try the move and you fail miserably, which you will, give it a shot anyway. See if you like it, see if you can work it into your game. Tip number 2 for my more advanced people on how to actually get better at jiu-jitsu is to focus on one move for a period of time. This kind of goes along with my last point on how we learn so many different techniques every single week, every single month. It's really, really difficult to actually remember all of them, and not even just to remember them, but to actually implement them into our game and to make them work. So one way that we can get better and to advance in our technique is to give a move a long period of time. For example, say you want to get better at finishing the triangle. If you just learned it and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this, like I want this to be a part of my game, I want to submit everyone with the triangle, that's awesome, but now what do we do to get there? Spend, say, 3 months just on setting up the triangle. Try to find triangles from everywhere and set them up. Even if you can't complete it, even if you can't submit the person with it, you are making progress just by 1, seeing that the triangle's there, and 2, setting it up. Once you've started seeing triangles everywhere, once you've really worked for a while on actually setting them up and getting into the position, now spend the next, say, 3 months on finishing it. Focus on the small technicalities of finishing the triangle and submitting your partner. I always tell newer people doing jiu-jitsu, I always tell clients of mine that the first step in getting better at a movement is when you can see it in a live roll. It's when you can actually recognize that the move is there, that the position is there, that the submission is there. That's the first step. And then once you see it, you can start working towards it. You can start setting it up. Then once you can successfully set it up and get into the position, the final step is to finish it. It's to hold the position, it's to get the submission. But it's a step-by-step process and it takes a while. So focus on one movement for a period of time and then you can really see how far you've come with it. For my more advanced people watching, I think that that's also a really good way to get over plateaus. The longer you've been training, the more likely it is that you're going to hit a plateau. You may start feeling like you're not improving. You may start feeling like you do the same things over and over again. I certainly have felt that way and I'm still kind of feeling like that. So I think that what I'm actually going to start doing to sort of work through this plateau that I've been feeling is every month try out a move and try out that move for 1 month. I'm going to write down the move, I'm going to write down how I can get there, and then I'm going to try it out at least once in every roll. Man, that's a really good idea. Today's the 1st of February when I'm filming this, so it's the perfect time to set a new goal for myself for the month, and really, honestly, for like even the next year to sort of work through, like I said, this plateau that I feel like I've kind of hit. I do a lot of the same things over and over again. If something fails, I feel like I immediately go back to a position where I feel more comfortable in, and I need to work through that. I need to push past that in order to get better. So if you're feeling the same way, if you feel like you need to start pushing past a plateau, if you want to keep getting better, if you want to keep getting more technical, pick a move, pick a position, pick a submission, and work on it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever you feel like you want to do, and stick with it. Try to get to that position, try to get to that spot every single time that you roll. Just remember, guys, no matter how advanced you are, no matter how new you are, the key is to keep showing up, keep training, even when you don't want to. That's how we get better. If you guys found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys have done to improve in your jiu-jitsu. We can all use the help here. I can use all the help that I can get, so let me know things that you've done. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit that bell notification button so that you never miss when I post a new video. And until the next video, I will see you guys next time.